Hey, look, every parent wants their child to succeed. And for many, college kind of feels like that golden ticket. But there's a question you got to ask yourself. Should you be footing the entire bill? So before you commit to tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, I really want to break down in this podcast the pros and the cons and give you guys some real stories of families who found smarter ways to handle, this emotional and financial minefield of trying to prepare for college. So here it is, the brutal truth about paying for your kids' college. Enjoy the episode. Practice owners, tired of working hard but not seeing the financial results you deserve? I'm Eric Miller, and my best-selling book, How to Become a Financial Beast, is your game changer. Learn how to maximize profits, pay yourself right, and build wealth outside your practice. Download now for free. Okay, welcome back to the Financial Beast Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Miller, Chief Advisor, co-owner of Econologics Financial Advisors. We help healthcare owners acquire, control, and expand their money, and we turn them into financial beasts. We do that
for associates too.
And we do that for associates as well. You guys, please check us out at econologicsfinancialadvisors.com. We're dropping stuff every single week. We have tons of resources on there. Give it a look. I think you'll like it. And as always, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. Here we go. All right. You know the topic today?
College, paying for college, and
is it really
the brutal truth about paying for your kids' college?
The brutal truth about paying
truth
for your kids' education. So yeah, we are going to talk about college, right? We're not talking about like high school and private school or anything like that.
No,
we're talking about whether higher education. And the brutal truth about that. All right. What is the brutal truth?
Well, I think the brutal truth, first and foremost, more than anything, the most simplest truth. There we go. I was like, how do I word this? The most simplest truth is that paying for your kid's school cannot be your priority.
Why?
Because
why, Gersh? I mean, I'm surprised. Like,
I paid most of my own college. I really did.
Wow.
I had a bunch of student loans. You know that. I used to harass you about it all the time.
The brutal truth is that your kids' higher education should not be your first priority.
Yep. You got to take care of yourself, right? You got to take care of your own retirement. And I don't think there's anything wrong with helping your kids with school if you're able to, but I see it all the time. I see clients who are spending, $40,000-$60,000 a year on college.
Oh yeah.
All in. But they're, putting away $1,000 a month into their retirement.
Oh, I lost a client because he took all of his retirement IRA money to pay for his kid's school.
Oh, that's a new one. Haven't heard that one yet.
Yeah. I was like, all right. Oh. So the brutal truth is pretty simple. I do not see a benefit of sacrificing your future financial condition just so your kid can go to school.
What if I make $2 million a year?
It's a different story. Yeah.
Thought you would say that. Just making sure.
Well, I mean, if you're making $2 million a year, you should have zero issues being able to save and invest and take care of your future.
Of course.
And then pay for your kids' education.
Of course.
But it is, I think, a vital misstep to where we see it, where they just make it their problem. They just make it their problem. It's like, what's your biggest? Well, I got to pay for my kids' education. I'm like, who wrote that? Okay, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Now I've seen a lot of doctors that have had their parents pay for their college, who are very grateful.
Oh yeah, of course.
Their parents did that, and I'm not going to say all of them turned out to be like deadbeats, because they didn't.
No.
Some of them turned out just fine, good stewards of money. Were able to achieve a degree and got it, and are now flourishing and prospering as we speak. But there's also been instances where I've seen it go the other way as well.
Oh yeah.
Where the money has just been squandered, or there was never any follow up, and the kids are still in the same position right now.
I don't have any proof of this or any sources, but I would take a guess, an educated guess, and say statistically, the higher percentage of school a parent pays for their kid, the less appreciative and useful that schooling is on average. And yeah, there's outliers, of course, but
there will be, yeah. Because I'm sure there's people that were helped, but they were already driven people. They just happen to have really driven parents that decided that they wanted to do that.
Okay? Exactly.
And that's totally fine. Like I said, there's going to be statistical outliers in anything like this. But I think by and large, all I'm saying is it's a mistake. By and large, it's a mistake to sacrifice yourself, okay, for your kids, paying for your kids' education. I think that's a mistake. Doesn't mean that you can't help. Doesn't mean that you can't assist. Doesn't even mean that you can't put your name on, what do they call that when the cosigners?
Like FAFSA?
I don't know. Like when if they have to cosign for loans.
Oh yeah, the subsidized, unsubsidized. There's Parent Plus. I don't know. Yeah.
So, and you can do that if you want to. I probably wouldn't, but you could. Okay.
Yep.
But I think it's a big mistake to say this is money that I was going to put towards our financial future, and now I'm just going to have it go to my kids' education.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a big, big mistake. Don't do that. Okay. Because what are you teaching the child at that point in time? All right. Maybe you're teaching them, the sacrifice that needs to be given for someone to achieve something. I mean, I could make an argument that would be the case. Maybe they see that. But what's a better example? Is a better example for that child that you were a good steward of money, that you prepared, that you got your own house in order, and that you helped what you could, but you also put some responsibility on them to also have some skin in the game and make this go right.
Yeah.
Okay. I just think it's probably a better argument to have than just paying for your kids' education.
I got to agree now. 10 years ago, I don't know if I would have agreed. But
I know you wouldn't have agreed right now.
At 37, I guess my thought process has changed a little bit from 27. I guess probably a good thing.
So, that being said, now let's talk about where you should be putting money for their education as well.
Okay.
Because I think that we can also, you can work this out, that if you do want to start setting aside money, we have the typical college savings plans, which are,
I was going to say 529s are definitely the most popular. And
and there's no contribution limits on those, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Not technically. Anything over, I think it's 18,000 a year now counts as a gift. It goes towards your lifetime gift exclusion, but that's getting into the weeds because the gift exclusion doesn't really matter to any of our clients.
Yeah, I was going to say your gift exclusion for both people is what? I mean, I don't think
it's like $27 million.
Yeah, it's like $27 million. So
literally, in all, for all intents and purposes, yes, the contribution limits to a 529 are unlimited, and a 529 is just basically a Roth IRA for school. You put money in there. You don't get any federal deduction. There are a couple states that offer a small state deduction, but it's pretty marginal.
Yeah.
But your money grows, it's invested, and it grows with no taxes, and it's pulled out with no taxes as long as it's pulled out for approved higher education expenses.
And they made some changes to the 529 plans where if it's not going to be used for that, I'm sure you can convert it or use it for other purposes
Yeah,
at that point.
They added something where now you can roll money from the 529 over to a Roth IRA.
Yeah.
But I think it's limited to $35,000. It's not like some secret loophole to build a massive Roth.
No, but I know, because someone would find a way to do that, wouldn't they? Yeah.
Imagine if there wasn't a limit. People would put away millions of dollars for their kids' school, and it's a Roth.
Oopsie. Yes.
Yeah.
But that's usually a primary tool that a lot of people will use, or grandparents will use. I think you need, number one, you need the money to fund them, and then you need time for that, because you're basically putting in after-tax money, and the benefit of the tax-free growth is that it needs time to grow.
Yeah.
So, it's doing it like a year or two before they're going to.
You're too late.
Go to school. Like, I don't see the point of it at that point in time.
No, these are things you want to set up for your kids when they're, babies.
Yeah.
Ideally.
Yeah. So that's one vehicle. I mean, certainly you guys can do that. And, we've had plenty of people that have put money in 529 plans and have used them, and everything has been great.
Yep.
Okay. Another option would just be a regular Roth IRA for them as well. Right. Because in most cases, what are the contributions now on Roth? I think they're $8,000 a year. We've usually used the technique of have your kid do something in the practice, pay them so you get a deduction for that, contribute to their Roth IRA, and then that money gets to grow tax deferred. And then, I do believe that they can actually take money out of a Roth IRA for college expenses.
Yep, that's correct. So, they can take money out for college. Yep.
Yeah, you can take money out for college. I think you can take it out for a new home or something. I mean, there's a lot of provisions on there. Yeah, you can take out
I think it's only like $10,000 or $12,000 though, and it's one time for first time home purchase. It's not a ton.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, that'd be another tool that you guys have if you want to do that. Okay.
Yep.
Another tool that we've seen is, overfunding a cash value life insurance policy, which everyone should have for themselves anyway, especially if you're getting one when you're young and you're healthy. Okay.
I have a client who does this for his 3 kids.
Yeah. Does he set them up for the kids, or was it just him setting it up for himself?
Kids.
Okay.
I mean, he has his own as well, but each kid has their own policy on top of it.
And look, I mean, there's different ways that you can utilize the cash value of insurance. But I think primarily what people do, they put money in there for the child. Again, it's going to be after tax contribution, so you don't get a tax deduction for it. I don't think there's really anything you get a tax deduction for.
No, not for college.
Not for college expenses, is there? Okay. Yep. That would allow you to build some cash value. They build some cash value. Then if they don't go to college, they can actually use it if they want to.
Yeah, there's no restrictions on dollar amounts and stuff like there is with everything else.
So I would have a combination of these things, to be honest with you, if you're gonna start, planning for college for them, so that you have some choices. And who knows what their life is going to look like?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's really the difference between the three. It's not a tax difference. It's a or flexibility difference, if you will, as far as what the money can be used for, how much, when,
Now, you can also prepay. There are some provisions on prepaying. I don't really know what those are at this point in time. But.
Yeah, certain states offer prepaid tuition where, just like it sounds, you pay tuition at today's rates and then your child can go to school later.
Okay.
Yep. So literally prepaid. Yeah.
So the benefit of that is that you avoid the price inflation.
Yep.
Okay. So if you have extra dollars lying around if you want to do this, I guess you could do this. Again, I would probably caution that if this was money that you guys were going to use for your own retirement, I wouldn't do that. But, it would be a way for you to take advantage of some of the the increase of prices of colleges right now.
Yeah, I mean, I just Googled this, but over the last 50 years, college tuitions increased at an average of 6% per year, whereas regular inflation's average 2.3.
So let's think outside the box here too, because I've had a couple clients that have done this. Tell me what you think about this. Okay. They send their kids to college. They bought a rental unit in the college area.
Yep.
Right. And then they rented the house out to their kids and everyone else. What do you think about that?
I mean, it works. I've had a couple clients do it too. I have one who's doing it right now. It works. I mean, obviously the house has to be in an LLC.
Yeah, we'll talk about how to set this up correctly.
Yeah, that's
but
separate. I guess that's not really, but
no, we'll get into it. But I just want to what do you think about overall the idea? So basically,
it's worked because people have taken advantage. Of course, they get the rental income for a couple of years and then they sell it off, and at least historically for the last 15 years, real estate's pretty much just appreciated.
Yeah,
and then that appreciation offsets the price of school.
True.
Yeah, I mean, it works. Yeah. I mean, you're banking on real estate prices going up, but they always generally have. So, it's not risk free, but it's
not risk free. But I think it's a way in which you can maybe. I mean, look, you're still if your kids are living off, if they're not living at home and they're living on campus. It's a way where you can obviously build equity in a piece of real estate. Yep. You can, if it's a rental unit, you may even be able to get, some tax benefits for that.
Yep.
As part of that. And just like you said, the idea would be that I'm gonna make rental income, and I mean, it can totally work.
Yeah,
it'd be great if you guys can not find a huge palace for the kids. They can live in something that maybe is a fixer upper that you get at a good price,
or a condo,
or a condo or something like that, where it's in a nice neighborhood but not too nice. It's near the campus. It's a nice piece, but you guys aren't paying overpaying for these things.
Yeah,
a couple $100,000 at the most for some of these things. I mean, I don't know if that's even real anymore when it
depends on the area.
It comes to housing and such, but that may be a good idea, I think, for a lot of people. Now, the downside of that is you're going to have some pretty irresponsible college kids living in a place.
No.
Right? Yeah.
I was very irresponsible in college.
I'm sure you were. And by the looks of your last liver exam, we can all tell that if that's the case, right?
No, yeah, that's a very good point. You're going to have a bunch of 21-year-olds in and out of that place for 4 years. And I don't know if there's a bigger liability in this life.
No. So you're going to definitely make sure that if they're going to have roommates, make sure that you separate that entity. It's in some kind of a limited liability corporation, that you have plenty of insurance and everything else.
Even if they don't have roommates, they still are going to have friends over.
Yep. So make sure you have proper insurances. Make sure you separate that out from your other investments, so that if there is a problem on there, it doesn't bleed over to your other stuff. That is for sure. Okay.
Yes, that house should be in its own LLC.
Yes, there's no doubt about that. But that could be another idea for some people that I've seen that has been, semi-workable. But I want to end off what are the pros and what are the cons of paying for your kids' education completely?
Well, I think the pros would be, number one, the kid, assuming your child is responsible and appreciative. I mean, they're potentially graduating debt free, which obviously lets them step into life in a better financial foot than a lot of kids.
I think that's probably what most people would say is the number one, is that these kids are going to now walk out of the university.
Yeah. I always hear clients mention that. Well, I don't want my kids to have the debt I did. And
yeah.
It's an emotional thing.
It is. It's semi-irrational.
I think that's really, honestly, the only pro.
Yeah.
I can't really think of any other pros.
No, I can't really either, other than the parents saying that's just my parents did that for me. So I felt like I needed to do, like it was some sort of an obligation that they had.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think it's an obligation for a parent to pay for their kids' education. I think it is it's a gift. It's a benefit. I don't think it's an obligation. I think maybe schooling up until they're, going to college, that's more of an obligation. But I think at that point, I don't think it's an obligation.
Yeah, college is optional at the end of the day. I mean, yes, a lot of good jobs require it. I mean,
yeah,
I say optional, but it is, you can't really function in life without a high school degree. Plenty of people function without college.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think the biggest con that we've seen is, well, there's two. The kids take it for granted.
Yep.
That their parents did that. Actually, there's three. That's number one. The second one is that they do not learn the value of, or they don't learn about the cost of borrowing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
They don't learn about that. Doesn't teach them anything.
No, I got my own lesson in that when I graduated. But it was a good lesson, and in all seriousness, it really was.
Probably motivated you a little bit too, didn't it?
It did. And, when I was younger, when I was in college, I was arrogant, oh, I'm going to graduate and I'm going to walk out and first day, I'm going to make $100,000 and da-da-da. Mm-hmm. So, $50,000 or whatever worth of debt is nothing. Then you graduate and you get your first job and it's $30,000 a year. But, yeah, you also got to pay for housing for the first time and car insurance and, 35. Just life.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, $50,000 of debt or more for doctors,
mm-hmm.
is a crippling amount.
Huge.
So, but yes. Yeah. I mean, it was basically motivated me in the sense of I had to make more or I was never going to survive because of the student loans.
Yep.
But yeah, anyways.
That is the case. So, and then I think the last thing it does, again, the point that we had is that it prevents you guys from achieving your own financial, where the wherewithal you need to be able to do the things that you want to do. And I think that's the one thing that we just want to guard against in doing so. So that's the brutal truth. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. I think we covered that pretty well.
Now, if you guys don't know, like how much, what you are sacrificing to send your kids to college, I'll just say it is a good time to make sure that you talk with people that can help you sort these things out. Because I don't want to dissuade you from not helping your kids. But I also want to make sure like you are taking care of yourself. So if you are able to do that, there is a road where you can do both.
Yes.
There's a road where you can, make sure that your financial future is secured and bright. And you can also have at the same time, have a road where the kids are going to have their college either taken care of or majority of it paid with either zero debt or very, very minimal debt coming out.
Yeah.
And then what they're going to do afterwards. I'll tell you what, right now, just as an aside, my niece who went to nursing school, okay, had, I don't know, maybe like $35,000, $40,000 of debt coming out.
Okay.
Even though she still stayed at home, but it was just expensive and they needed student loans to cover it. Okay. Anyway, so she got out of nursing school, and I think they make anywhere between like 60 and 80 grand now, being a nurse. But she stayed at home, she still lived at home, almost zero expenses. She got a Jeep. Okay. And she just attacked the student debt, just started attacking it. And I think she's down to maybe $5,000 right now.
Wow, good for her.
And
That's
man,
amazing.
I will tell you guys, the look on her face of how freaking proud she is of herself.
Oh, I'm sure.
For doing this. Okay. So do not be afraid to put an obligation on your kids. All right. Because if they follow through and they do the right things and then they overcome that, you just now made someone that knows how they can solve their own problems, which is essentially what you want from your children, that they can overcome and solve their own problems. And she's that way right now. She's like, okay, great. I can do this. Like, it's
and she'll spend the rest of her life, naturally wanting to be aggressive with other debts now, just because she saw how successful it is when she was young. Yeah. So she'll do the same thing over and over throughout her life.
She knows how to do it. I thought it was a great lesson. I thought that she approached it the right way. She didn't bitch. She didn't complain. She didn't say, oh, woe is me. Look at how bad the system is. She kind of bit the bullet for, a couple of years. She's only 23,
Jeez.
And she'll probably have, and at the same time, she's able to save like $10,000 or $15,000 too,
Good.
So it's like, I know, it's like
machine.
I know. It's awesome. And I'm just like, okay, kids can do this, you may not have the super duper nice cars and all that, but look, you want to have something. I got news for you guys. There is a do that precedes the have.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to do something to have something.
And if I was going to say, if like your niece makes those smart choices in the beginning, she'll be able to have a nice car without it being a, she
got a sweet Jeep. She loves it,
Oh, yeah, already has it.
Yeah. She loves it.
But if you handle these things up front, you'll be able to enjoy life more because you're not still paying for them when you're 50.
Amen.
So,
okay, that's a good one. We'll see you guys on the next podcast.